I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife Emily for about 5 years now. We got engaged last year and everything seemed perfect. We had plans, dreams about the house, and a future that felt solid. But underlying all that was a nagging feeling that I just couldn't shake. Something felt off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. She was acting weird, distant sometimes, and her phone was glued to her hand more than usual. I'd ask if something was wrong and she'd brush it off with that bitchy smile, saying I was paranoid or she was just tired. Classic Emily, she's good at hiding her true feelings, always has been. Lately, she'd been sneaking around, lying about where she was going, who she was talking to. She'd snap her phone shut whenever I got close, and I caught her deleting messages more than once. Still, I kept telling myself I was just imagining things. Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe I was overthinking it. But then came the night before the engagement party. Something changed. She was acting even more out of sorts, anxious almost, and her phone kept buzzing constantly. I noticed a message from someone named Jake, and she'd quickly hide her phone whenever I looked her way. That's when I started feeling that dark knot in my stomach tighten. And then the day of the party. It was supposed to be a celebration, a milestone, but I felt uneasy all day. Emily was bitchy, snapping at everyone, acting defensively when I asked her about her mood. She kept saying I was overreacting, that I was paranoid, that everything was fine, but I knew better. I had this strange intuition that something was gonna blow up, and honestly, I was just waiting for it to happen. Then came the moment I'll never forget. I was cleaning up after the party, putting away some leftover food, when I noticed her phone lying on the coffee table. I wasn't even thinking. I just picked it up out of habit. What I saw made my stomach drop. There were messages, not just flirtatious texts, but straight-up explicit sex talk. And not with anyone random, it was with her brother's best friend, a guy named Tyler. I could believe my eyes. My wife, the woman I loved, was fucking around with Tyler at our engagement party. I thought I'd seen everything, but this was a new level. I stared at her messages, reading her lying and pretending everything was innocent, that it was just a mistake, a one-time thing. She told me she loved me, that it was just a moment of weakness, that she didn't mean for it to happen. Bullshit. I felt my world shattering right there. My hands trembled, my mind racing. How could she do this? How could she lie so easily, so convincingly? I had everything planned out in my head. I'd confront her, ask why, demand answers, maybe even yell until she broke down. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just about one mistake. It was about trust, or the complete lack of it. The moment I saw those messages, everything changed. I felt like I was hit by a truck, a mix of shock, rage, and betrayal that hit me so hard I couldn't breathe right. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I stayed up staring at my phone, trying to process what I'd just uncovered. It was surreal. She was telling him how much she enjoyed the sex, how she was imagining his body against hers, all while smiling in pictures with me at the party. I couldn't believe she'd gone that far, that she'd risk everything for some quick, meaningless fuck with Tyler. The guy's her brother's best friend, for Christ's sake. That's next-level betrayal. I kept thinking about all the times she'd lied, all the little things that didn't add up, the sudden trips out, the late nights, the secretive texts. I kept asking myself, how long? How long has she been lying to me like this? And worse, what the hell did I do wrong? Did I miss the signs? Was I not enough? I felt this terrible mix of inadequacy and rage. I wanted to break something, punch a wall, anything to let out the pain. But mostly, I just felt hollow, like my entire world was crumbling. The next morning, I knew I couldn't keep quiet anymore. I had to confront her. I had to know the truth, her version, her lies, everything. I found her in the kitchen, pretending to be busy with coffee, acting innocent-like. She had no idea what I was about to say. I looked her straight in the eyes and asked, "Who is Tyler, Emily?" Her face froze for a second. Then she looked at me with that bitchy smirk, that "what are you talking about" expression she always puts on when she's trying to play innocent. She tried to deny it at first, saying I was paranoid, that I was imagining things. But I didn't let her get away with it. I pulled out the phone and showed her the messages, how she'd been lying and sneaking around. Her reaction was classic Emily. She started crying, but not because she was sorry. No, she was furious. She told me I was crazy, that I was blowing things out of proportion, that Tyler was just a friend, that we'd all had a few drinks and it meant nothing. She said, "It was a mistake, okay? It's not a big deal. I love you. You're overreacting." That's her usual move: deny, 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 then turn the blame on me. But I wasn't buying it. I could see right through her bullshit. I knew she had been lying for weeks, maybe months. I felt like I was losing my mind, like I was living in some terrible nightmare I couldn't wake up from. The emotional toll hit me hard. I felt this deep ache in my chest, a kind of grief I'd never experienced before. Betrayal on this scale isn't something you just get over. It's like a wound that keeps bleeding, no matter how much you try to ignore it. I was angry at her for being so callous, so manipulative. I was hurt that she'd do this at our engagement party, a time that was supposed to be special. But mostly I was devastated because I realized I couldn't trust her anymore. Not really. Not after this. And I knew deep down that nothing would be the same again. After I saw her deny everything and try to brush it off, I knew I had to make a decision. I couldn't just stand there and pretend like it was all okay, like her lies weren't eating me from the inside out. I felt this burning need to get revenge, but I also knew I needed to be smart about it. She's the kind of woman who's bitchy and manipulative. She's used to twisting the truth to her advantage. So I decided to play her game for a bit, see how far she'd go, and then strike back when she least expected it. I started by pretending I was still in the dark, acting normal around her but secretly gathering evidence. I installed a few apps on her phone, checked her messages when she wasn't looking, and kept an eye on her social media activity. I wanted to catch her in her lies again, find out if she was planning to double down or just try to sweep everything under the rug. Meanwhile, she kept acting like she was the victim, throwing tantrums, calling me paranoid, and crying about how I was ruining her life. It was disgusting. Her little act of innocence when she was out there screwing her brother's best friend at our engagement party. One night, I decided to set a trap. I knew she'd probably try to cover her tracks, maybe delete messages or change her story. So I left my laptop open in the living room, with a detailed timeline I'd written about everything I knew, the messages, the dates, the times. I wanted her to see I wasn't just some fool who believed her lies. I wanted her to realize I was serious about catching her and exposing her. That night, I waited for her to come home and saw her sneaking around again, acting suspicious. She was trying to hide her phone, her eyes darting around like she was guilty of bigger things. She finally snapped when she saw the laptop screen, eyes wide, caught red-handed. She started arguing, saying I was invading her privacy, that I was crazy for spying on her. She called me controlling, jealous, and every other word she could think of to turn the tables. But I didn't care. I told her I'd had enough of her lies, that I was done pretending. I told her her little mistake at the party was just the tip of the iceberg. I was furious, but I kept my voice steady, determined to get the truth out into the open. I wanted her to know I wasn't going to take this lying down, not anymore. That night I realized how much she'd broken me, but also how much I needed to stand my ground. I was going to be some doormat for her to walk all over. Whatever she thought she was doing, I was done playing her fool. The next step was clear. I needed to confront her head on, no more hiding, no more pretending. I had to decide if I was going to forgive her or cut her loose for good. And believe me, that decision was coming fast. I could feel it. The confrontation I'd been planning took shape the very next day. I woke up with a heavy weight pressing down on me, knowing I couldn't keep pretending like everything was fine. I was angry, hurt, and somehow numb all at once. I called Emily into the living room, told her I had something to say, and I could see her immediate shift, that defensive, bitchy look that she always put on when she was ready to spin her lies. I wasn't in the mood for her games anymore. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "I know about Tyler. I know about the sex, the messages, everything, and I want to hear it from you, the real truth." Her face went pale for a second. Then she scoffed and crossed her arms, acting like she was the victim. "You're crazy," she said. "You're just jealous because I was bored, and bored women do stupid things." I didn't buy it. I told her I had the messages, that I saw her with my own eyes, and that I wasn't going to let her lie her way out of it anymore. That's when she started crying fake tears, the kind she always used to manipulate me. She tried every excuse in the book, that Tyler was just a rebound, that I was controlling, that she never loved him, only wanted to feel alive again. She told me she didn't mean for any of it to happen, that she was drunk, that it was a mistake, that it was just sex and I should forgive her, that I was overreacting about a stupid thing. I felt like I was losing my mind. How stupid did she think I was? I was furious, but I kept my voice steady, asking her why she did it, how long it had been going on, if she'd been lying to me all this time. She finally snapped, screaming at me that I was just insecure and that I didn't trust her because I was possessive and jealous. She said I was the worst thing that ever happened to her, that she hated me for accusing her of something she didn't do. But I knew better. I knew she was lying again, trying to spin her story to make herself the victim. I told her she could keep her lies, that I'd had enough. I told her I wanted her out of the house, that I couldn't stay married to a woman who thought cheating at our engagement party was just a mistake. That moment hit me like a punch to the gut. I felt crushed, betrayed, and furious all at once, but part of me also felt relief. I finally had the truth, finally understood what kind of person she really was. That's when I realized I'd be better off without her. I told her she needed to leave, and she stormed out, cursing and yelling that I was overreacting, that I'd regret this, that she'd find someone better. But I didn't care. Honestly, I was just tired of her lies, tired of the betrayal, tired of feeling like I'd never know what was real again. I knew this was the end of the line for us. And as she walked out that door, I felt the first real sense of clarity I'd had in weeks. I deserved better than her. After she left, I sat alone in the silence of the apartment. The place felt colder, emptier than ever. I think that was the moment I finally let myself feel everything I'd been suppressing, the hurt, the rage, the confusion. For a while, I kept replaying everything in my mind. The signs I ignored, her lies, the betrayal at the party, her fake tears, her pathetic excuses. It all hit me like a freight train. I'd been blind, trusting her blindly, and it had cost me everything I thought I knew about our relationship. But as the hours passed, something shifted inside me. It was like I was waking up from a nightmare. I realized I'd been a fool to stay silent for so long, to keep believing her lies. I'd been giving her power, letting her manipulate me. That's when I decided I had to do something. Not just to get revenge, but to rebuild. I owed that much to myself. I started planning my next move, not to chase her or beg her to come back, but to make her regret she ever crossed me. First, I gathered everything: photos, messages, anything that could prove the extent of her deception. I wanted to make sure she understood how badly she'd screwed up. Then, I reached out to a couple of her closest friends, told them what I found, and warned them to question her. I didn't want her spinning more lies, I wanted her exposed. I also started thinking about the best way to make her see the damage she'd caused. I wasn't just angry. I was determined to make her realize that cheating at our engagement party, with her brother's best friend no less, was unforgivable. I knew I couldn't just cut her out without consequences. I wanted her to feel what I felt: the pain of betrayal, the humiliation, the loss of trust. I decided to start sharing what happened with people close to us, letting them see the real Emily, the bitchy, manipulative side she'd hidden so well. I wanted her to lose face, to realize what she threw away. At the same time, I was also focusing on myself, hitting the gym, reconnecting with friends, and trying to rebuild my confidence. I knew my life wasn't over. It was just on pause, waiting to restart without her dragging me down. Looking back now, I see how much I've grown from this. It's not easy to admit you got played, to accept that someone you loved could do something so cruel. But I learned that sometimes the only way to move forward is to cut out the toxicity, even if it hurts like hell. I don't regret uncovering the truth. It's better to know than live in denial. And honestly, I don't think I'll ever trust her again. Some betrayals cut so deep that they leave scars you never fully heal. I'm still healing, but I know one thing: I'm better off without her, and I'll never let myself be blind to another lie again. Now, a few months down the line, I can honestly say I've come to terms with everything. The pain still lingers, but it's not as sharp. It's more like a dull Ache now, a reminder of what I went through and what I refuse to let happen again. I've learned a lot from this nightmare. Trust is fragile, and betrayal cuts deeper than anyone ever talks about. I've also realized that I'm stronger than I thought. The weird thing is, I don't even hate Emily, I just feel sorry for her. Sorry that she's so consumed by her own lies and manipulations that she was willing to throw away everything for a bit of sex with her brother's best friend. What's really stuck with me is how much I underestimated her. I thought she was this strong, confident woman, but underneath it all, she's just someone who's scared and shallow. Her bitchy attitude, her constant lying, it all makes sense now. She was never really committed to us. Honestly, I should have seen it sooner, but I was blinded by love, by the idea of a future. That's what makes this so heartbreaking. But I'm glad I found out before it was too late. Better now than later, right? The truth is, I don't regret catching her in the act. It was brutal, and yeah, it hurt like hell, but it set me free. It gave me clarity. I see her for who she really is, and I refuse to let her define me. I've started dating again, slowly, cautiously. I realize now that I deserve honesty, respect, and someone who actually cares, not a manipulative, lying cheat. I also learned to listen to my gut. If something feels off, it probably is. I won't ignore the signs anymore. To anyone out there going through something similar, don't ignore the red flags. Don't convince yourself that it's just a mistake or that she'll change, because she won't. People like that only get worse if you let them. Trust your instincts, gather evidence if you need to, and don't be afraid to walk away. The pain of betrayal sucks, but staying in denial is worse. You deserve better. I know I do. And I hope that everyone who's been hurt like me finds the strength to move on, to rebuild, and to realize their worth. Because in the end, that's what truly matters, knowing your value and refusing to settle for less.